boxes keep falling out of the sky for? Wag! Welcome back to the Ready Ones Go Festa. I'm Big Mek, and indeed, we did get a box, and you, our bosses, are definitely going to want to see what's inside this. It's from Snot Goblin Gaming. Let's get into it! Alright, so first things first, my finished, everything except for one squad, but finished Beast Snag army needs to move somewhere, because I don't have any workbench space left. See, in all that room, I can't really open a box. So we're going to take all of those guys and that thing, and we're going to put them in there. There, that should about cover it. Yeah, so that is my entire 1,500 point Beast Snag army minus the 10 Beast Snag boys that I've yet to build. So I'm not going to do those right at this second because I'm going to heavily convert them. And frankly, I've been building stuff since the middle of December, and it's now the middle of February, and I'm ready to do some painting. So I finished everything in the 2 boxes, like I said I was going to, did all the videos. I think we're good to go on these for now. They're going to sit here in the case for a little bit while we take a pause. Gotta admit, it is pretty darn cool looking in there, and I am excited to see them all painted up, just like my Beast Boss. All right, let's tear this box open. Alright, you guys just saw my Snot Goblins playing with the Snot Goblin Terrain. I unloaded that box. They heard the clink that sounded like Legos, came running in here. I explained to them what it was, let them loose on it. Because how better to test whether or not this product is going to hold up than by letting a couple of 8-year-old boys at it. So anyways, they got done messing around and they left me a present. You guys ready to see what this actually is? Let's do it. I give you Terrain. This is the 4-story monster they built out of this stuff. I even went and got me spectacles on so I can make sure I'm reading this correctly. So Snot Goblin Gaming is the company that makes it, and it's called the FutureProof Modular Wargaming Terrain. So what exactly is it? Well, like it says, it's Wargaming Terrain, and specifically, it is kind of like Legos. So all of these pieces actually come apart and are modular with each other. They have these kind of ingenious little peg systems to them. And what you end up with is this cool system, so to say, that goes together. And so there's like little ruined pieces, and there's you know, big chunks of wall and corner pieces, and these columns, which are super interesting because you can even, for example, take this base tile, you could put columns in it, and yeah, just stack them like that and have an open. So yeah, you can just take them apart and put them back together a million billion times. It is literally like Legos. I mean, it's that easy. And it's really interesting. Now, what makes it so future-proofed, other than the fact that you can take it apart, put it back together if you want, is that it has 2 different sides to it. So, and there's a bunch of different pieces. You've got ones like this that very much has like an Age of Sigmar vibe, you know, or old school, old world fantasy. You've got the wooden shutters there with the iron hinges on the doors. And then the other side, of course, is 40K style. You've got that totally brutal metal, you know, with rivets and stuff. And in all the cases, you know, they've got like a very gothic theme. You got like little skulls and stuff everywhere. Even the columns have little skulls and things, whoa, on them. The corner pieces as well. You can see there's some cool exposed brickwork in the corner pieces, little like Vox speaker thingies. And yeah, you put it all together and take it apart and do your stuff with it. Now, this is a Kickstarter that is starting yesterday, the 20th of February. I just got these in the mail last night. So I'm doing my best to get this out as quickly as possible because I believe in this. All right, so full transparency, I'm not getting paid for this. This is not a paid sponsorship, but Snot Goblin did send me these pieces for free to review. There's no strings on that review, so I am going to give you my complete unadulterated review here. First things first, it's plastic. It's not resin, it's not MDF, it's not wood, it's not any of the other gaming things, the printed cardboard and stuff. I hate all of those. They don't look good on a battlefield. They don't look good with minis. This does. This looks just like Games Workshop gray terrain pieces. It's fantastic. As far as the material itself goes, it's amazing. The design, as far as the interchangeability and the way it interlocks, is genius. The fact that the bases are both bases and tops, so you can build them up like you saw, 4 levels high, 1,000,000 levels high, is really, really awesome. The different pieces are cool, having corners and bigger walls and smaller walls and ruined pieces is very neat. My feedback is going to be, I hope they make more pieces. Let me tell you why. So this is the bottom 3 stories of what my Grots built. And you can see they had some pretty cool ideas in here, right? Right here in this section, they used one of the broken single panels and then used the full column with another little broken panel to really make it look like the panel got blown out, but the structure was still there. That's wicked cool. Some of the areas, they didn't put columns at all, and you have these gaps. Not the worst, not the best. You could see they did use the columns down here, and those look good. And in fact, you can have, again, the broken wall pieces, and they look pretty righteous. They have these short little columns that are broken that are super cool. And yeah, just the whole overall vibe is neat. The problem you have is you don't get very many of the top pieces. So if you start using them in the middle like this, you quickly run out of having anything on the top. So you really get kind of locked into having solid structure in the bottom floors and broken pieces on the top. My biggest complaint, though, however, is the bases. There's only 2. You've got straight and you've got inside corner. Now, why does that matter? Well, first of all, you put it all together and you just get identical flooring, and well, that doesn't look the greatest. If there was a corner piece that was a full corner and these that had pieces that came out, and you could do like a middle floor piece here and then have a couple of room sections, would be fantastic. But more importantly, when you look at the corner, okay, you notice there is a positive side, all right, and a negative side. When you have that, that means this corner is always an inside corner. All I can do is stick it on the base, put it up here so you can see it, stick it on the base, and complete the 4 corners. I cannot flip it around to go the other way. See that? I got positive to positive. It doesn't work. So what they need to do is make a mirror image of this corner piece with a negative on this side and a positive on this side, and then you can turn corners the other direction and have outside corners as well, which lets you build way more than just square runes. You can get some really interesting shapes. And honestly, that's it. Those are my only complaints. I just want more pieces, because the more different pieces you have, the crazier structures you could build, just like Legos. One of the really cool ones, for example, is this piece right here. It's a piece of, like, the edge, okay, but it doesn't have the floor. So when you're building a wall and you put your wall up there, you could put this on the top in order to have a topper with no floor, which is really cool. And then you saw the Grots had it down on the floor so that you ended up with kind of a cool broken section sticking out. I really, really, really like the interchangeability of this. All right, slightly older Big Mek here. Been playing around with this stuff for a while now, and I want to show you some things. So this is the configuration that I built, and what I wanted to do was just kind of try out some of these parts. So I did get one of these long and two of these short pieces that don't have a floor on them. I want to try that out. You can overhang it, no problem, nice and sturdy, seems pretty cool. A lot of the stuff on their Kickstarter showed a big opening with multiple levels on either side, and sitting on the tabletop it's fine. You have a pretty good egress point. The problem is that if you move it at all, it just comes apart. So I think in the future doing an actual doorway tile and having something that can tie in up here as well will be a good idea. The other thing I wanted to show is the fit here. Now again, remember, this stuff is like Lego. It's designed to come apart and go back together, but notice that there is quite a bit of gap going on with these pieces, so you really have to like press them down to get them fully locked in. That being said, once they are fully locked in, they are super duper tough. This piece isn't going anywhere. I can drop it, I can smack it, I can do whatever. This one is nice and sturdy. This illustrates my desire for an outside corner, though. You can see here, you create with these corner pieces this little like inset here that you can't even get kind of a whole figure in. If you've got a 25mm base, you can stand one guy in there. But yeah, it gets a little awkward in there. And if you had an outside corner piece, you'd be able to, make a zigzag shape, an S-curve, thing like that. The other thing that I noticed in building this corner is I kept trying to put one of these pieces right here, and it wouldn't fit. And then I figured out that the corner piece here is a different length than the standard piece. And so even though it looks like it's the same size and would go in, the peg spacings were different. So you can only put a corner on top of a corner. You can only put a straight on top of a straight. Now, I do want to point out that the tiles are a generous size. I mean, this is Gazgul Thraka, and he can stand up there on the corner, nice and sturdy, nice and stable, no problems. Now, this was something I thought was important to share, and that's compatibility with the Games Workshop official terrain. Now, this is an Octarius Orc piece. You've got the standardized height there that GW's been working on for their stuff, and you can see we're pretty substantially similar there. Same thing with from above as far as like your deck size there. It does work in pretty well. Now obviously these runes are more Imperial Gothic style than orcs, but I mean that totally works on a battlefield. And again, the injection molded plastic is just so similar and so nice. Now I also wanted to show with the Kill Team terrain, and this is the one that is compatible with the Necromunda hab modules and stuff. There you've got a half height and then the full height there. And you can see that the heights are different, but I mean, these are different from the regular Games Workshop runes as well. But aesthetically and just like size-wise, height-wise, just how everything looks and feels together, it totally works. So you could totally end up using this with some Kill Team as well. Now, I want to point out that the target market for this stuff are tournament players, right? The whole idea is you go on the Kickstarter and you can pledge for different packs of these pieces to build the STC, the Standard Template Construct terrain pieces, so that you can practice your games for grand tournaments and things like that, which is fantastic. But I gotta say, this goes so much more beyond that. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is some of my terrain collection, and well, you see, it takes up a whole shelf just to store this one little piece of terrain. And this isn't even enough terrain to do a board. You can see I've got stuff down there, I've got stuff up here, and I have stuff in the boxes still unbuilt. And if I put all of this on the table, I still wouldn't really have enough to do a full-size game with enough pieces for a grand tournament. Now, with a couple of these kits, I totally would. And this is the true genius part about them. If you're someone that doesn't have a lot of space for your hobby, for your Warhammer things, or you like to travel to play games, but you don't necessarily have like a game store to go to that has terrain or something like that, right? Playing at buddies' houses, community centers, things like that. That's where this shines. So it's super easy to take apart. Again, it's like Legos. You've got these slots and clips that just go together, and you can just throw it all in the box. And you don't even have to take every single piece apart. You can leave, little sub-assemblies like that, but it flat packs down like, some IKEA furniture, basically. And in like literal moments, you can have this whole thing just completely blown apart and shoved into a box. And so this piece of terrain that's bigger than any piece of terrain I own, look at that. And with all the organization of an orc, there it is. And there you go. Inside that box is more terrain than this entire shelf. And now I can take this with me and I can assemble in any configuration I want. So what is old Big Mek's final verdict? Well, I think this is a winner. I really, really do. I saw a little short that they had put out a couple of months ago, got really excited about it. They reached out to me, Michael from Snot Goblin Gaming, and just said, hey, is this something that you're willing to take a look at? Again, not sponsored, not being paid here. I have no strings attached. I can say whatever I want about this stuff. And I am going to put my money where my mouth is. I am going to pledge on this Kickstarter. And I have never backed a Kickstarter in my entire life. But this terrain is genius. And if they get a couple more parts, a couple of outside corners, a couple of, full-size tiles for the roofs and things like that, I mean, you really, really will truly be able to replicate any single piece of rune terrain GW has ever done. And that's just the start. See, I think what has me the most excited about this idea is that you can keep making different panels that use the same connection, just like Legos, right? You can't look at that stuff and tell me that it doesn't make you think about boarding patrol, right? Go look at how expensive that Kill Team terrain is. Anything from the Gallodark series, right? It's just nuts how expensive it is. And yes, you can 3D print things, and yes, you can buy MDF things, but like, resin terrain sucks. Resin is so brittle and terrain gets knocked about and it does break and it takes you forever to print it, and it's really expensive. You could print it in FDM and then have lines everywhere. You could laser cut it out of wood and then it would just look like wood. Like, it's just, plastic terrain is the best. And when you need a lot of it to do something like that, to make Space Hulk, to do Pariah Nexus stuff, to do Necromunda, that's a lot of money. And so being able to get this set and not only be able to configure it any way you want, whenever you want, but that there's going to be an ability to expand it in the future kind of indefinitely, I think is really, really, really cool. So yeah, I'm really hoping that this Kickstarter just blows everybody out of the water, and I hope that they make a ton of these things, and I really want to see some expansions. I would love to see some Space Hulk / spaceship, not ruined at all, like, straight up put all the walls together, and then you have like your doors and your portals and all that, because playing some boarding patrol on that would just be epic. And I would love to see like a 1.5 size columns and panels, so that you could do that tall kill team terrain that is become a thing. And yeah, I mean, there's just, again, the sky's kind of the limit with it. Being an old graybeard, right? When I played with Legos back in the day when I was a kid, my favorite was the Lego castles, right? You had all the knights and the bowmen and all that, but the big thing was that you built a castle. I could totally see them making some more medieval looking pieces for this. I would do an entire city for Old World / Mordheim. Oh my god, a Mordheim, like panels on the bottom that are brick, panels on the top that have the wood beams, right? And got some roofs that have the high pitch, and like be able to just take it apart, put it together, and take it apart, put it together, and rearrange that city and rearrange that castle however you want. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. All right, so I'm convinced, and if you're convinced too, here's kind of what you need to know. There's a link down in the description below to their Kickstarter. Again, not sponsored. I don't get any kickbacks, nothing from this. So feel free to click it. It's not going to change anything. Or go find it on your own on Kickstarter. But whatever. They're doing a couple of different levels. So for 29 bucks, there is a 10th edition template pack. So you get 6 large runes, 2 medium runes, 4 small runes, and 6 numbered objective control templates. It's 29 bucks. When's the last time you bought anything Warhammer that was 29 bucks, let alone terrain? Especially plastic terrain. They have a different version of that gives you 10 large runes and the 6 objective control templates. Again, 29 bucks. Now that's the footprints. I want to say that's the footprints. That's not the buildings. This is like your where the buildings need to go and like what size they are. But you move up from there, and you get the half table set, which the half table set is more than what I have. I think I've got like half of a half table set. But the half table set, you get 4 full walls with no windows, 8 full walls with windows, 3 full half heights, 25 half full heights. I mean, there's a million pieces with this thing, but it's enough to build literally a half table full of standardized terrain for 10th edition games. And so all of those terrain pieces are 2 or 3 levels. They're all a certain size footprint. So you could build literally a half table that's $135. Again, that's way cheaper than anything Games Workshop. That is the cheapest plastic terrain I have seen in a long, long time. But more importantly, you could take it apart and put it in a tiny little box and not have a half table full of terrain sitting around collecting dust on your shelf. Now, I think the bread and butter of this one for anyone that's going to be like super into this, that like wants to get, for your gaming club, or, if you do a bunch of tournament style, play with your buddies or whatever, maybe you run a little game store or something like that, is the full table set. Now, this is the launch special. This is like, they know that this is going to be what everybody is really going to be after. So it's enough of the pieces to build the full table full of runes for any of the missions, the mission packs, right? It's $219. So when it actually is in production and people can just go buy it off the shelf, it'll be $299, which again is still, I know it sounds like a lot. That's really, really cheap for terrain. Go price out what that would cost in GW terrain and get back to me. Right? Heck, go price out what that would cost in like MDF or cardboard that's printed or, resin. They're all really expensive. So to get it in full plastic and have the ability to take it apart, put it back together, any configuration that you want, full size table, $219. Yeah, that's kind of the way to go. Yeah, that's just bananas. Now, if you're a tournament organizer and you're super excited about this, they've got a 4x full table set for $899. I don't have to tell you, tournament guys, how much your terrain costs. You know it. So there is that. There's also these VIP specials. They were supposed to be for the 20th when this launched. Again, unfortunately, I did not get my set until the night of the 20th. So I obviously couldn't film this video, edit it, upload it, get it live on YouTube in just a couple of hours. So here we're a day late and $1 short. But again, even without the VIP specials, there's the deals are really, really good on the Kickstarter. So let me know what you think. Are you excited about this terrain? Do you think it's a cool idea? Is it something that you might get into? Again, I think the base concept here is really awesome. I think that these first sets that they have, their ability to kind of flip-flop back and forth between Age of Sigmar / Old World and a 40K work pretty well. But what I am truly excited about is for this to really take off, for Snot Goblin Gaming to just knock this out of the park and expand on this. Like I said, 40K style, do Necromunda and Space Hulk style corridors out of these would just be insane. And if they expand out Old World style and do a Mordheim style buildings, and maybe some castles and fortifications, that would be ridiculously cool. And then obviously, being that it's Lego style, you can mix and match all of those and just go bananas and have yourself a really, really cool table anytime. And then put it in a tiny little box when you're done. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked what you saw, click some buttons down below. Let me know. Let Snot Goblin Gaming know. And that would be really, really cool. I will definitely do at least one more video with this terrain and my own Snot Goblins. They're really excited about it. Those boys were occupied for a solid hour with no screens playing with bricks. So I really am excited to see what kind of craziness they can come up with, because they're always really good at coming up with things that even old Big Mek is never going to think of. But I want to do a game on them, and I want to see how they work in a gaming scenario. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely click the subscribe button and hang around so that you see that video within the next week or so. So until next time, Wagon!